Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you all. And nice to, I guess, be seen by our friends online. From Whispers from Eternity by Paramhansa Yogananda. These are prayer poems by Master. This one is, "Tune us, that we may hear thy voice. Volumes of thy Savior voice resound through the loudspeaker of every loving heart. The voice of thy wisdom roams through the ether of space, seeking everywhere hearts that are tuned to ecstasy. Sadly, thy warning sermons pass unheard by souls deafened by the static of sense pleasures. O divine broadcaster, tune our souls, long distracted by the static of our indifference. Fine-tune us with the delicate touch of soul perception. Grant us the privilege of hearing thy magic melodies in the ecstasy of divine awakening." And this week's reading from Rays of the One Light, which are parallel commentaries on the Bible and Bhagavad Gita. This week, intuition is simple, the intellect is complex. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. In the Gospel of St. Mark, chapter 10, we read a passage that Yogananda often quoted. "And they brought young children to him, that he should touch them, and his disciples rebuked those that brought them. But when Jesus saw it, he was much displeased, and said unto them, Suffer the little children to come unto me, and forbid them not, for of such is the kingdom of heaven. Verily I say unto you, whosoever shall not receive the kingdom of God as a little child, he shall not enter therein." It has often been noted that a critical attitude tends to paralyze creativity. Good critics, for example, seldom produce works of creative genius, though their creations may be intellectually clever. The intellect separates, it analyzes, then puts things together again piece by piece. The intellect lacks intuition's flow, which descends smoothly like a river from the superconscious. Paramhansa Yogananda described intuition as the soul's power of knowing God. To receive the kingdom of God, Jesus was saying, one must do so with the openness and trust of a little child. Intellectuals may object to this statement, saying, but there must also be discrimination. You wouldn't want a person to be so open-minded that his brain falls out. The truth is, however, that the intellect can be fooled, even when it does its best to discriminate wisely. Only intuition is capable of penetrating to the heart of a matter and knowing truth from falsehood. It was the clear understanding of a child, not the elaborately persuaded intellects of his elders, that enabled the child in Hans Christian Andersen's story to cry out in surprise, "Why isn't the emperor wearing any clothes?" Therefore it was that Sri Krishna said in the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, "To you who are free from the carping spirit, I shall now reveal wisdom sublime. Grasping it with your mind and perceiving it by intuitive realization, you shall escape the evils of delusion." Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om, Om, Om. And before we continue, I would like to play a recording of a song by Swamiji, and it is sort of similar to this theme. only in the sense that what we are seeking with our intellect is perhaps truth. And what we are seeking with our intuition is perhaps love. But both of these are found in God. And why do we want to know truth? Just the sheer acquisition of truth or possession of truth or perception of truth is not useful unless it thrills our hearts. Otherwise, it thrills our egos. And similarly, with intuition, the soul's power of knowing God. And it's important to remember also that though the search for God is very joyful, there is also a deep yearning in it. Everything in this world is Maya, is a mix. Everything in this world is duality. And so it's a mixture. So even in the search for God, until we rise above duality, there will be some duality in it. So there'll be that joyful freedom, that joyful relief. And yet there'll also be that painful yearning, that sense of separation, that hunger that is temporarily satisfied by a good meditation or an uplifting experience, and then rises again. Similarly, in that chant that we did, "In this world, Mother, no one can love me." This is a chant, if you were here last week, Swamiji referred when he was at the end of the New Path. He was reading that book. Anyways, if you were here sometime, or if you saw the video on your own, or if you read the book, he says this Bengali chant found expression in two of my guru's English chants, and this was one of them. "In this world, Mother, no one can love me. In this world, they do not know how to love me. Where is their pure loving love? Where is their truly loving thee? There my soul longs to be." Now, of course, we can chant this in two ways. We can say, "In this world, Mother, no one can love me." But that's not really the spirit of the chant. I have to admit that very often I will reach for that chant and start out that way because of some hurt feelings. There's that first line, though. "In this world, Mother, no one can love me." Those dirty rats. It's not that. And it's also, "In this world, Mother, no one can love me because I'm so unlovable. I'm so horrible. It's not their fault, it's my fault." Both attitudes are completely wrong. I say this from personal experience. Now, the point is, it is just simply true. In this world, Mother, no one can love me. Why? In this world, they do not know how to love. There can be a flow of divine love from one person to another, and there can be a flow of divine love from that other person back to the first. But that's not in this world. That's beyond this world. In this world, human love, no good. It's just no good. And if you think, it is, just think of how many times we have been unconditionally loving when we have never had a harsh word to someone that we care about just because we were hungry or irritated or had a headache and we spoke sharply in the moment. We just can't help it. We can do better. We should try to help it. But still, human love is just of this world. In this world, they do not know how to love me. That thought should bring peace. Because it means, as Master said, don't seek smiles where the smiles don't come from. People say on the spiritual path to Swamiji, the spiritual path is just so hard. I mean, just to say that in this world no one can love me, and in this world they do not know how to love me. And he said, the spiritual path may be hard, but is suffering easy? What's the alternative? What's the alternative? Shall we just keep going and walking into the same wall again and again and again, thinking that this time we might pass through it? We won't. There's one definition of insanity is to repeatedly do the same action that isn't working, expecting a different result. It just doesn't work. Touch the stove, ow. Touch the stove, ow. I wonder what will happen this time. But that's not just the end of the chant. Where is their pure loving love? There is. Where is their truly loving thee? the divine love. There my soul longs to be. Again, there my soul longs to be is not that we're sitting in the dungeon saying, there my soul longs to be, but I'm not there. It's more affirming, I live for your love, God. It's the only love that will ever satisfy my heart. And that's true for every single person, even the irritating ones. Anybody, even someone we're having an argument with, they too are seeking that divine love. And so we have to start seeking love from the right sources. Now, does it mean we cut everyone off? And so we just go, well, yours is human love. Bah! I only focus on divine love. Well, all we have to do is look to the masters who are one with that divine love, and they don't act that way. Swamiji once was very cold with someone. Many of you know the story, and he had good reason to be. But still, after the person had basically insulted and inconvenienced him repeatedly in the same way over and over again, when he met Swamiji another time with Master, Swamiji didn't even look at him. Just, you're not sincere. And you can understand that. And yet Master afterwards, in fact, Swamiji told Master before they met, he isn't sincere. And again, the man had gone to pretty great extremes to prove his insincerity and demonstrate it, I mean. And yet Master said, well, we'll have some fun with him today. And so Swamiji thought perhaps, okay, well, he's going to give it to him. But instead, Master was even kinder and more gentle and more loving than ever. And then, but as I said, Swamiji said he didn't even look at the man. And then after the man left, Master said, how dry you were with him. How many would be left here if I had treated you all that way? And it's so beautiful because the Masters see how completely insincere we are. Of course we are sincere. We are trying our best. We have to be sincere to be on the spiritual path, which goes in two ways, meaning be sincere, it'll put you on the path. Stay sincere to stay on the path. In other words, we can always deepen our sincerity. But at the same time, we do all kinds of things that we don't mean to, or we, as Arjuna said, why a man against his will is compelled to act wrongly. Against our will. I'm not going to shout, I'm not going to shout, I'm not going to shout. Oh well, try again tomorrow. So we know these, you could call these things insincerities or defects in our character, and they are. They're not defects in our nature. They're not defects in our soul. But they're things we're working through. It'd be foolish to say otherwise. But the Masters see all of that, but they don't say, come back to me when you're in Samadhi. I only deal with people in Samadhi. No, they're so kind, trying to bring us forward, to share that love. And so we have to also, whatever joy and love we feel, know that its source is the divine. Then when we share it with others, we don't have a neediness that they also give it back. Just konjap, a little bit back? No, because we're satisfied. It's like we're serving food, but we've already eaten. That may be against the rules, but in this case, it's a good thing to do. We serve the food, but we've already eaten, so we're not hungry. So we say, have some, have some, have some. And they say, Ninga, and we say, no, saptacha. I've eaten already. I'm fine. I'm not hungry, so I'm not looking for something from you. I'm looking to give. If you have that attitude, all kinds of things do return to you. But we can't have that attitude going, no, I just give freely. I hope it does return. No, we just give, it will return. Definitely. But it's the only way to have a joyful and happy heart. It's the only way. And how do we know? Because we've tried it 700 million times. Lifetime after lifetime. This family, no. Okay, this family, no. This time I'm just going to be a monk. Okay, fine. But even that doesn't work. The heart gets dry. So speaking of being a monk, Swamiji did say something funny. He said how in India, so often the children will take up the profession of the parents. And he said it makes you wonder how anyone ever becomes a monk. But Speaking also, though, of that story of Master saying to Swamiji how dry you were with him when Master was so kind to someone who clearly you could say didn't deserve it, so to speak, by worldly standards, Master knew in divine standards everyone deserves it. Master wasn't that way with everyone because it wouldn't have helped everyone. He was very loving with his chief disciple, Rajarshi Janakananda, very loving. But he said, the relationship I have with you, I can't have with all, because they would take it in the wrong way. I'm paraphrasing. Because see how special I am. Master loves me so much. It wouldn't help them. They would take it in the wrong way. They'd take it in a personal way. It doesn't mean he wasn't ever loving, but sometimes he was stern or sometimes he was distant. I'll come back to that thought. But still, he treated people in the way they needed. But in his heart, he was equally loving to all. It was just that with Rajarshi, he could express it freely. And so in that way, when we see that relationship, if you read the letters between them, for example, in the book that's published them, you can see that this is how Master would be with me outwardly, or will be with me outwardly, but he was this way with me inwardly. Even if we have different experiences, or we can imagine that maybe he might have said, behave. But going many years forward, Jayaji told a story that not necessarily all of you heard. Similarly, when he was sitting in a satsang, and so he said, and Swamiji was praising someone. I'm pointing at no one, because I found in the old days I used to point at someone and say, praising someone, and then the person goes, ah! So I have stopped. I point into space now. And so Swamiji was praising someone and saying, oh, how wonderful and so kind to them. And Jayaji was sitting over here and thinking, why is he just being so soft on them? They've been totally misbehaving and they don't deserve it. They've been causing such a ruckus and turmoil, and here he is being so patient and so gentle. And he said that critical thought, which is also came from the reading, this thought of the criticism. That critical thought kept coming, just, Swamiji, why? You know they don't deserve it. And so Swamiji went on for a time in this way, and then he turned and looked at Jaya and just went, and then just went on. As if he said, shh. Because he knew. He knew his thoughts. You could feel it. I mean, sometimes it's easy to read because you see someone going. I'm sure Jayaji wasn't doing that. But still, it's like it's not always deep intuitive powers. It's just, you can read it on the face. But most important is to read it on this face. Read it on our own faces. And see, all you have to do, sometimes I check my mood. I think I'm in a good mood. Yeah, I feel pretty cheerful. I feel light and detached. Yeah, lots of joy. And then I, check my face in the mirror and go, uh-oh. All right, there is a problem. The face is betraying the lie. So I better, we have to find ways to self-diagnose that we are crazy. When you're crazy, you don't know it. Crazy people don't say, I'm crazy. They say, you all are crazy, I'm fine. So when we are the ones crazy, we have to find ways to realize that we're in delusion. One way is look in the mirror. That's not the face I want to have. Something's wrong. Or notice the faces of everyone around you. If they're kind of going, that's how you might know that maybe strange things are coming out of your mouth. Again, I say from personal experience. Or if you notice all the feet are going towards the door. Different ways we go, maybe I might be off here. It's not always easy to know. And so look for ways, instead of saying what's wrong with them, say maybe that's not wrong with them. Maybe it's wrong here. But having said all of that, there is this duality in the spiritual path, this joyful reconnection with God and with divine love, and then also this yearning. And so this is expressed for more. And this is expressed in this song of Swamiji's called, Where Has My Love Gone?
Where has my love gone? Long she's left me, deemed my delights. Where is my love friend? Passed she this way? Saw you her smile? Ah, what did she say? Ah, passed she here, my sweetheart, passed she here. Sweet was her promise when first we met. Whispers of heaven made me forget heartaches and labors, earth's searing pain. Rest now, she said, you've found love again. Ah, passed she here, my sweetheart, passed she here. Surely she lied not, heaven did shine, piercing the darkness, love then was mine. Could she not linger, must even she rise and depart like mist on the sea. Ah, passed she here, my sweetheart, passed she here. Life's made of dreams, friend, dreams that must break, quickly dispersing when we awake. Strange that when love calls, memory stays, crying across the tides of our days. Ah, passed she here, my sweetheart, passed she here. There by my bed she left me a note. Can you explain these words that she wrote? Seek me, she said, love, out on the sea. Boundless the reaches of true love must be. Past cheer, my sweetheart, past cheer.
Of course, Swamiji's song says it all. And it's important to recognize that, of course, it's not just an intellectual teaching, but somehow we feel something from that song. And, of course, it's communicated by the beauty of his voice, his own consciousness, certainly, but also the melody. Music is a language, and the melody, the notes, they have a message. They bring a feeling, even if we don't always know. If we're more intellectual, for example, like I certainly had that as a background, we may not appreciate the extent to which the music moves us and that it's teaching us something, even behind the words, and perhaps even more importantly than the words. Swamiji said the melody carries the consciousness of the song. And that's why, again, the piano also is sort of like the other singer in the song, adding its own message. But this is what happens to us on the spiritual path. When we first get onto the path, there is, the day before we get onto the path, there is usually turbulence. There is usually disturbance. It's usually that discomfort, that chafing, or that boredom, that dissatisfaction, as someone was saying in the level 1 class just yesterday. I began to think about life, and I began to think, Yin, why? Why we do the things that we do, and so on. And so we all get to that point of discomfort. Either, what is the purpose of what I'm doing? Or all the things that used to bring me joy don't bring me joy. Or my heart is broken. And I don't know where to find that love or where to find that joy that I wanted, even in this thing or in this person. And now it's gone. And so where can I find it? And so that pain drives us onto the spiritual path. Now, it may not have happened for you that way. But remember, as a Master said, the devotee must have prayed very hard in this lifetime and in past lifetimes for a guru and for a spiritual path. So if you just happen to wander along and see a banner and then walk right in and then off you go, congratulations. But thank yourself for all those previous incarnations of tear-stained prayer that got you to where you are now. And so we get onto the path, and just as the song expresses, in the beginning there's such a joy and there's such a relief. And Divine Mother says, rest now, you found love again. And we just, this is what I was seeking, this is what I was wanting, this is what I finally found, and now I have it. And we do for a time. And in a certain way, you could say that's sort of, on the beginning of the path, there's a lot of joy. And the joy gets more and more. Don't worry, there's no bad news. I can sort of feel Dharmini here saying, don't make it build up this to the big, and it's no. But it is true, nevertheless, that there is that joy, but then the honeymoon period ends. It doesn't mean the joyful relationship ends, but that easy, blissful part ends when we start to try to meditate longer and longer, and we bump up against obstacles. Or we find that all that joy and instant freedom and all these easy things that came in the beginning, suddenly they're out of reach. What happened? I'm here, I'm sitting, and it's not coming. Did someone turn off the faucet? And this used to work. And so this is the dilemma, or the agonizing dilemma or situation expressed by Arjuna to Krishna. When, as Master described, of course we all know his lament, but what he was really saying, or one way to understand the deeper meaning behind what he was saying, was not, why do I have to kill this family, how can I kill them, and yet I should also be a warrior and I don't know what to do and I won't fight, Arjuna was saying that I am not getting the spiritual joy and the spiritual results that I want, but I can't turn back to the world either. I've been on the path long enough to know that the world will not make me happy, and yet the spiritual path isn't making me happy either. And so what do? I can't go back because I know the happiness doesn't come from there, and this is where it does come from, but it's not coming. And so we enter into this I think Swamiji referred to it as the slogging middle ground. It doesn't have to be slogging. If it is slogging, there's something wrong with our attitude. But sometimes attitude is the exact thing that we have to cure. It's the exact thing we have to get right. And we have to not know that that's the problem. If we have a broken leg, it's really easy to fix. Maybe not by us, but someone, hey, guess what? Broken leg, can you do something with it? And then it heals. If we have sort of a blindness in our attitude, it's not so easy to fix because we don't see it. Some tests we are blindsided by. We didn't see them coming, and that's part of the test. If we had seen them coming, well, it wouldn't be a test. Every now and then, Divine Mother likes to give us pop quizzes. Surprise! Ready, go. 8 times 10. 80. Okay, fine. 75 times 300.61. And I'll visit you again in a year. So, you see, she gives us these quizzes, and that's part of the test, is that surprise. We have to accept, instead of saying it would have been fine if I had just had a warning. But you never know. Sometimes she may have given us a warning that we didn't hear. And so anyway, what I'm getting to, though, is that this happened in Yoganandaji's life. Swamiji observed it again and again. He said that the Guru in the beginning was very kind and very friendly and very sweet and very charming. And of course, that was sincere. He wasn't a salesman, or he wasn't trying to get people in the door. He was very sincere. But he said that once the disciple was strongly enough on the path, then he said Master would hide from them. I don't know exactly what that means, if he would literally hide or if he would be inaccessible, but suddenly there was a shift, because Master was saying, now that I have brought you this far, now you have to meet me at my level. There's no point in me just babying you and just saying, good, 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 stay as you are. That isn't even what you yourself want. It doesn't mean that he whipped people or that life beats us into being stronger, because it's so easy to slip into that, yes, yes, I am stronger, as they would say during the terrible times in the Cold War. There will be fewer but better Russians. And so we sort of feel that, like, if you can survive the Holocaust, those that survive will be better off for it. So we get that grim attitude on the spiritual path. Divine Mother, despite all the lightning and burning and plague and mice, I am still here. That's not the joyful attitude. The spiritual path is about joy. And yet, it is also about the fires of testing. So it's both. But if we have a grim attitude, let's have it for a short time. Try to get through it. That's the easiest way to know that something is off. Again, look in the mirror. Lots of joy today. Nope, something's wrong. That's another way how you can tell. Or you feel that tightness in the heart. The devotee gets to the point of feeling joy and relief in the heart enough that then you begin to notice the absence of it. You begin to notice that tension. You begin to notice that pain. You begin to notice that there's a pinch here. Something isn't flowing like it normally does. Let me get centered. When you've had the experience enough of being centered, for example, in meditation, regularly, you'll start practicing returning to your center, then you know when you're off center, because there's something to compare it to. I don't quite feel like myself. I normally feel better than this. I normally look better than this. Something's off. But when every day, well, pretty good. Then we don't know anything any different. I always look like this. That's what the spiritual path brings. Suddenly, hey, I look better. I look different. I feel better. And then, oops, now I don't anymore. What's wrong? Because before it was wrong all the time. As Dhyanaji said, she said, the spiritual path has made my life so intense. Before, my life was calm, but bad. I just loved that. It was just, now it's intense, but good. But it's just like, yeah, it's calm, it was fine, but bad. That's a good way to remember too, if you get on the spiritual path and you find all kinds of troubles coming up, or different things, or health challenges, wait a minute, I thought life was supposed to get easier. It was like, yeah, before it was easier, but bad. Or before, after being in LKG for 36 years, it is perhaps time for us to proceed onward. And so learn the second half of the alphabet and so on. So, this whole experience, though, of knowing that we're off-center is very important. It's very valuable. I once had gone through a very difficult time of testing with a particular group that I was working with. It wasn't involving me personally, but there had been a calamity that had happened amongst the staff. And we all worked very closely together, so we were like a mini family in all that implies. And so when this difficult thing happened, everybody was kind of suffering. Everybody was touched on different levels by it. And we were all working in this one project. And so I said to Swamiji, when we had the group of us all met with him, and I said, when something like this happens, it puts sort of a damper on our inspiration. And the work that we do in this particular project requires daily inspiration. We basically have to show up for work cheerful, partly because we were interacting with other people, and you can show up to your computer and go, and the computer doesn't mind, but you can't go up and work with people and be like, may I help you? In order copy Vedama? You have to have some joy and inspiration and all that. And so we weren't. We were like that. And I said, our work depends so much on inspiration. How do we sort of get back to that when we've gone through such a sad and sort of testing experience? And he said, you get back to your own center. He said, sure, we care about the team's center or the project's center and its level of functioning, but you get back to your center. That's always how it works. And I thought, center? Center, Enge center. Do I have a center? What's this? That's right, I used to have a center. I used to actually be in my spine and happy and calm and unaffected by things. Let's see, when was that? I have to look at my calendar and see when the last time I was so off-center, I didn't even know it. I didn't even know there was a center. I had a new sort of crazy external periphery that I was living on. And so that helped. I started to try to get back to my own center and hoped everybody else did too. But God bless them, I prayed for them, but I went on my own, and things, of course, did improve. And so like I wanted to say that Swamiji said Master would hide, just like in this song, that divine romance. Can you explain the words that she wrote? Seek me, she said, love, out on the sea, boundless the reaches of true love must be. She didn't go away to say, you can't have love actually. Of course not. That's the world. That's what the world says all the time. That's what the world actually says. It seems to say, no, you can have love here. But the truth is that what it's saying is you can't have human love actually and be fulfilled for long. As Swamiji said, the one thing delusion is always consistent in is that it always breaks its promises. That's it. It's not a sad fact, it's a good fact. We say, well, then I won't listen to you anymore. It's an untrustworthy friend. So don't hang out with that friend, hang out with the masters. But that divine love is saying, come and seek me, come and find me, and then we'll be one forever. That's the only ways. But we have to have a taste of it to then say, and then we want more. So then, just like, the story of, this is now mixing the metaphor, but Master talks about the dog that was carrying a big heavy burden of load behind it, and he said the dog's owner had devised a ingenious method by putting a stick to the dog's back and having a sausage hanging out in front of the dog's nose, and so the dog, straining forward to get the sausage, pulled this heavy load behind it. And he said that's how we are in human life, that people keep straining after their sausage of happiness. And he said, not realizing how many desires, burdens, worries they're carrying along with them. But that's why I said it's mixing the story, because what I was actually talking about was the divine idli that we are straining for. And it keeps coming out of reach, so we keep going for it. And so that we can finally grab it. And that's good, because whereas worldly hopes and joys disappear into a mist, that divine one stays. And the further we go towards it, the more we have of it. One friend said to a friend of mine, when my friend and I were both new on the spiritual path, and he said to one of the acharyas, does the spiritual path ever get easier? And she said, of course it gets easier. She said, because with each little victory, with each little experience, with each down followed by an up, you begin to see the pattern. You begin to realize, yeah, I've been here before, down in the basement. But I have also come out of the basement the past 50 times. So maybe this 51st time I will also come out again. And we start to not ride the roller coaster up and down, as it said in the affirmation. Don't ride the ups and downs. Just, you find a joy throughout. It's very important to remember that the way we are even-minded, so Master said it, he didn't let us get away with anything. Be even-minded. And, ... But even-minded, so often on the spiritual path, is taken as, I am even-minded. I am unaffected by gain and loss. I view a stone and a holy person as the same. I care not for your suffering. All is Brahma. Would you like to join my spiritual path with me and sit here and frown? We are spiritual. Remember, Master said, Sri Yukteswarji said, to find God, one need not disfigure his face. I saw a picture of a friend of mine, someone I knew when he was younger, and he was deep on the path of yoga, and his face was like this. And I said, you look miserable. And he said, I look grave. I look somber. I have grasped life's reality. It's useless. Again, look in the mirror. It just doesn't work. And you see it especially in people really clinging to renunciation and missing the point. They're focusing on what they're giving up. This does not bring joy, that does not bring joy, nothing brings joy. When God is joy itself, Ananda, Satchit Ananda, not Satchit misery. And so they say, so you have to just remember, how do the saints act? They're joyful. Even if outwardly they may be grave, but you can feel that joy inside coming from them. Or in their presence you feel lighter. So, it's very important to remember, even-minded, yes, calm and cheerful. Even-minded and cheerful. So when we're disturbed, check, which side are we on? Even-minded? No. Okay. Let me get back to even-minded. Even-minded? Yes. Very even-minded. Completely numb. Chariya? Shadiyilla. Even-minded and cheerful. Has to be cheerful. Otherwise, something's missing. So don't hide behind if you feel tempted. I even said this to Dharmini yesterday. I said, I feel very calm, very detached. But I'm not smiling, so I wonder if something's wrong. Just, it is all Maya anyway. And then we all die and are reborn again, and I'll be right here in a different couch maybe, but still. Very spiritual. I could tell there was no cheerful, just even-minded. So again, we have to remember both sides of this. But just as the guru would hide to say, come and seek me inside. He even said to someone outright who was taking lots of photographs of him, he said, why do you take pictures of this body? Get to know me in meditation. Get to know me inside through meditation. That's where you really get to know who I am. Not just every angle of the face. And so Swamiji too, you would find with people, certain people, that he would suddenly seem aloof. Or, I don't know, but you would sometimes feel it with yourself. He would always be distant. He would always be a little bit out of reach if we were trying to approach him in a personal way. Just like, I got this for you. And the saints are always like that if we approach them in the wrong way. And so, because they're saying, I'm not going to demean the divine love I feel for you by lowering it down to a human, oh, thank you very much. He would thank people all the time for gifts. And sometimes they wouldn't even be aware, really, of what was being exchanged, I wonder. I don't know, of course. I certainly wasn't aware of all the things that he was communicating to me. It's only in years later that these things, they go deeper inside of us if we think about them, if we ponder them. They don't just come automatically. Swamiji also would often say, or at least once said, don't think that these things happen automatically. We have to put our consciousness on them to go deeper. Introspection, joy, mixing with others, a good company. Again, as we've said, we've quoted another of Dhyanaji's famous statements. When you're in a bad mood, get in the room. For satsang, you mean the center. Get in the room. It's all you have to do. If you get into the room, the conveyor belt of happiness will take you the rest of the way. But we have to step onto it. Whereas if we stay, no, I don't feel like it. Yeah, he's just going to talk and say the same old jokes. I've heard those jokes before. I think I'll try television instead. Or whatever. So I have to keep coming up with new jokes. No, Jayaji said, I love teaching level 1 because the students are eager, they're new, they haven't heard any of my jokes. I can give all my best ones for the first time all over again. Jayaji has such a wonderful way of expressing things too, just very, very clearly. It's very clear. So, we would see that though with Swamiji. There was sometimes though, this is also, what I'm trying to say is that the Guru does this with us, whether he's in the body or not, whether we were in the body with him or not, whether we're having personal interaction and memories. None of us have memories of being with Master, but we do have memories of being with Swamiji, some of us. And even if not, just watch a video and then you have a memory of being in that audience. And so, it's, I was sort of two directions. I was remembering something he said yesterday. I'll come back to that. If I don't quote Prasanna, then remind me at the end. Something Prasanna said. He said, would you like a coffee? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So, going back to this, Swamiji, Master, the Guru, the divine presence inside of us, our joy that we first felt on the spiritual path, or that we felt yesterday when meditation was good, and we don't feel today, it's hiding, but it's calling. It's retreated, saying, why not come up one more step? Why not raise your energy? Why not come up to me? I'm right here. Just take one step. Come on. Just like a little child. You're, come on. And it's like, yay, everybody claps. See, what a good job. Whereas you walk around now, nobody claps. But Divine Mother is always clapping. Sai Ram and Divine Mother are always clapping. So she does. She say, just take one more step. And we go, no. And then we do. And then we find we can do it. So when that joy is missing, remember it's calling, inviting you to go deeper, to go higher. It's asking us, come to meet me where I live. And so, but at the same time, Divine Mother has her eye on us constantly. And sometimes the Guru comes, and sometimes we don't even notice. And only later do we realize, oh my gosh, I was so worried about that situation and it just worked out, and I thought, thank God, without realizing that Master had untied all the knots and strings and handed it to me. I just said, yeah, thanks. And then later we realized that what a miracle, or we realized what a disaster was averted, that we went safely through a situation and then only later realized, oh my God, this could have happened or that could have happened, but nothing happened. Thank you. So this even happened in little outward incidents that I was remembering. There was a video of Swamiji and a devotee watching a video together. It was sort of a strange situation, but Swamiji was watching a video that was going to be possibly used, video footage that was possibly going to be used in a movie. The Finding Happiness, in fact, some of it was used in that movie. And so the sort of filmmakers wanted to film Swamiji watching it for the first time in case he made any comments or explained, oh, this, yes, I remember this or that, so they could capture it for not only the archives, but also in case it would help them in the making of the movie. So, I mean, you don't normally see somebody going, oh. You sort of see, what are they looking at? But in this case, it was a video of them and this other devotee watching it together. And so there was one scene that really struck me where the devotee was looking at Swamiji. Swamiji had told something, and Swamiji was laughing, and the devotee was looking at him, and just with that same joy, just when somebody makes you laugh and you look at them appreciatively. But of course, this was Swamiji, and it was near the end of his life, and there was just this wonderful, sort of image of the disciple and the Guru, you could say. But then there is another moment where Swamiji was telling a story, because there was the scene of his old school when he was a child. And he said, there's the swimming pool. It was in the shot of the video. And he said, as a punishment, I had to, when I had to punish myself in the school, they asked you to punish yourself if you had done something wrong. And they held you to your own honor. And he said, so there were 3 times I was supposed to not go swimming when I really wanted to. That was the self-discipline I was asked to put on myself, or maybe he created that himself, or maybe they told him. But there was the pool, so it reminded him, and he said, so I had to not go swimming 3 times when I really wanted to, which I almost did. He said, one time I really wanted to go swimming, and I didn't go swimming, but I couldn't have gone swimming because it was raining. And so it's just a cute story. But so he laughed, and you see the video. But then Swamiji, in his laughter, turned to the devotee and was looking at him. But the person didn't notice because they were still watching the video. But Swamiji looked at them and smiled just for a moment, just laughing with everybody and turning. And it was just so sweet to me because I thought the Guru is always watching us. Even when we don't notice, we think I'm always trying to get his attention. And meanwhile, he looks at us and we're not even seeing because we're watching the movie. So remember, he's always watching you. And if you just turn and look over your shoulder, you'll see him instead of the movie. You can rewind the movie and watch that part again. And when the Guru is coming, look at him. Remember these moments. For example, when you have a still and peaceful meditation, grab onto it. Don't say, sorry, I time's up. I was 14 and a half minutes. I got to go. I'm going to be late. Late for what? Don't be late for God. Don't leave God if you have that moment, or just hang on a few more minutes, a little bit, just to say, no, God is here. I'm going to value that. You just never know sometimes. We have infinite number of chances. So don't feel guilty. But that's the good news and the bad news. The bad news is we have infinite number of chances. Try again. Try again. Try again. Try again. 75 lifetimes later. Still trying. We do learn along the way. But if we get it right, we don't have to go on. We can be free. Just one more thought along these same lines. there was a devotee who had brought a group of people to meet Swamiji for the first time. And there was a big event happening, sort of like an SRW kind of thing. And so this devotee brought these people and said, they're from another city, and so they wanted to come and meet you finally after all this time. And they came to Swamiji's house and met him before the big event was about to start. And then Swamiji said, wow, you all look like old friends. And then they had a nice little sort of satsang, and then they all took his blessing and they all left. And that same devotee was starting to leave too. And Swamiji said, oh, listen, I'm working on this new book, Living Wisely, Living Well. Do you want to read some pages from it? And the devotee said, oh, well, yeah, okay, the event's about to start, and he said, oh, why don't you read? Okay, so started reading a little bit. And then he said, what do you think? Oh, it's very inspiring. Okay, well, would you like to read some more? I probably, the concert's about to start, and, we've rehearsed. And he said, okay, well, maybe a little more? Yeah, okay, I'll read a little more. He's sitting alone in Swamiji's house with Swamiji, reading his book that he's just written. Well, but there's a big event for, spiritual inspiration that's supposed to be happening. And I'm trying to draw closer to the Guru, through this event. And, I'm kind of expected, and, And so then, but you can see how that thought comes. And then finally, one more page, and then Swamiji said, oh, so what do you think? And the person said, I like it, but I probably really should be going. And then the person told me it was only years later that they realized, after Swamiji's passing, I was alone with him. I mean, how many opportunities do people have for that? And he said, and yet I didn't even realize. Because Swamiji gave him a look, just a quiet smile. Not even a criticism like, you're missing the point, big time. Just a gentle smile, loving smile, understanding everything. But when the person left, they kind of wondered, what was that smile about? And it sort of stayed with them as a memory. And years later, they partially deciphered it. We can never decipher things fully until we're liberated. But just, oh my God, what was I doing? I'm late for a very important date? Like, what? When you're sitting alone and he's asking you to stay longer? I mean, when did that happen? Probably once. And, so anyway, that happens to us in our lives. And he comes again. These experiences come again. It's not just one shot and then you've blown it. But keep that in mind. What is really precious? What is really valuable? What are we really seeking? And when we have it, hang on to it for dear life. God bless you.